So yes, there has been some amount of corruption. We have been with government officials who've quite blatantly said that we'd have to increase the price of a product to for it to be successful, and our entire approach was to keep the price as low so that it would be a viable option for end users as well as for government or development agencies. But when you're faced with an official who says something like that, it almost makes you feel disconcerted. You don't know whether to continue walking down this line or whether you're just beating a dead horse almost.
Ritu, as a young lady, she went to the Union Parishad and asking for the water points close to her home, and they said that, well, we have a reserve pond, but you cannot access it because it has been leased out to the private owners, so they have to take the decision. So you see that there is a reserve pond which is under the local government Union Parishad, but it is not accessible by the community. So what is happening? We don't know, because they are getting leasing money each year. I mean, they means the Union Parishad, but they are not providing support to or service to the community who are mostly neglected in that area, and Union Parishad is supposed to organize all of those water related issues, particularly water supply, and I think there is a corruption in the structures or in the systems.
Through corruption, investment and resources go to infrastructure, where it is easier to steal, thus deprive families of water and sanitation services, where women are the most affected. One, because they have been assigned for the role of home care and hygiene, and have to devote time and effort to find ways to supply water to their families. And two, because since the lack of water and sanitation services at home or in schools, schools affect women directly to the biological issues, because for women the issues of privacy is very important. This gives them dignity, otherwise they are exposed to greater vulnerability.
Corruption in the water sector, especially in the way we manage our systems, has affected our ability to sustain them. I want to start at the lowest level. The first level of challenge that we have met is we collect money for 1M from the communities, especially for boreholes, hand pumps, and this money is kept by the treasurers. But unfortunately, the treasurers have collecting water in the baskets. Baskets have holes. They put the money in the same pocket with their money because they don't have banks. So at the end of the day, when we need the money, most times we don't find them. And this has led to degradation of the service, because eventually the users refuse to pay money because when they need it, they can't get it.
When we won a tender to implement awareness and sanitation solutions in a certain municipality, and we had to secure around 60 volunteers that will be doing the promotion of these sanitation practices. But at the same time, we were heavily dependent on the municipality to be able to support us in logistics of good coverage, because there's not enough data on the distribution of the populations and the households. While we expected from one side for them to be fully on board and supportive, we were faced much more with an attitude from the person handling the project to asking for involvement through having a payment, essentially, and of course it wasn't stated in a very direct form, but more of you will need me as a coordinator and I can provide the resources of the municipality. Unfortunately, we later on realized that this was something reoccurring that that person used within the municipality to secure a share of these finances. Of course, we didn't budget for such an entity in our work. And we realized that if we would refuse to pay, it wasn't only going to be without the support of the municipality, but even further, it was going to be through disruptive actions from the municipality to ensure our failure. And of course, being the first tender we win, we really wanted to show a success case. We wanted to have something as a solid ground to build on. So I was faced with a very painful decision of whether I have to partake in his decision or whether I will refuse it and end up risking the project. Here comes the terrible decision that I had to make, and unfortunately the only option I had at the moment was either I informed the donor of the situation or the municipality, or I go with the municipality. So I really want to stand with my principles, and I decided to go to the development agency and tell them what's happening. What surprised me even more is that the donor agency told me, yes, pay him the support fee, so he's the coordinator.